There's some positive news from the UK right now. There's breaking news coming out of Buckingham Palace. We're learning that King Charles will be returning to his public duties. His doctors say the cancer treatment is going well. Let's bring in Richard Berthelsen, one of our royal commentators here at CTV, with more on this. Reaction, Richard, to this news.
Well, I think it's positive news. I think it's what people would be hoping for. The king will be able to return to some of his public duties. You know, the spring season is a very big one for royal occasions. There's lots of things that people go to see the royals at, like the King's Birthday Parade, Royal Ascot, the Order of the Garter. There's a state visit coming up. Lots of talk about the D-Day commemoration. So the palace is now making clear that the doctors feel that there's little risk to the king interacting with the public at major events. His treatment is going reasonably well, and he's able to return to some of those duties, which I think will be a very, very welcome sign by many people who have been watching this very closely and feeling that, there's something has been amiss with the king not undertaking his duties. He's an incredibly busy member of the royal family, and I think his absence has been keenly felt.
Yeah, what about the treatments in terms of what we know and what we don't know here, Richard? What can you tell us?
Well, again, this release is, notable from what we don't know and what the palace is not saying. They're not saying a lot about the treatments. They're continuing not to say what kind of cancer, other than to say, the treatments to date, the progress has been good. There's no reason for him not to return to public duties. He will be chafing at the bit to do so. I'm sure he has all along. The palace has been careful to show him as much as possible in photographs and photo opportunities undertaking his constitutional duties. So really clarifying that he's still able to perform those key duties in the functioning of government. But this is now a step up. So I think we have to read a little bit between the lines and see that the palace is essentially saying things are going well enough that he can return. And I think he'll probably take on more and more as time goes on. It will be, of course, dependent on how he feels. And of course, the scheduling of his treatment, which I think will take priority over public duties.
Yeah, we hear that he's going to be visiting a cancer center and also welcoming the Japanese. I want to get this clear here. The King and Queen will host their Majesties, the Emperor and Empress of Japan, for a state visit in June.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about how the palace is starting his return to public duties is he's going to a cancer facility, a place where people are being treated for cancer. I mean, the palace is careful to make clear it's not necessarily the type of cancer that he has, or they're not making a comment about that. But he is, going to be at one with people who've been experiencing what he has. He has now, of course, a high degree of empathy for that, having gone through that. So that will mark the return to sort of the types of things that he does and his public-facing duties. Of course, a very important diplomatic occasion. There was an agreement about a state visit by the Emperor and Empress. Those things are extremely high in protocol and diplomatic meaning, and the palace has made clear that that is now able to go ahead. And I think because of that, I think that one can infer that a lot of the major events in June where we see the royal family at, notably the birthday parade, the balcony appearance, of course, Royal Ascot and things like that, we'll probably see the king at those as well.
Richard, good to see you today. Thanks for your time.